Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is another marketing roundtable. We have an incredible non-guest, but we have our incredibly handsome co-host, Mr. Nick Sakis, Mr. Jake Wolf. We're going to jump into old school, new school marketing, how to blend them together. But before you do that, here's our intro. All right, we are back. We're live. We're here. We're happening. This is incredible. I feel blessed and honored. I have Jake Wolf. I have Mr. Nick Sakis. Jake Wolf, say hello to everybody.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really excited about today. We were talking behind the scenes, and I think we're coming back to some core marketing tips and business fundamentals and how that old school and new school kind of blends together, and just things to think about and what you should do. And I think maybe after this hour-long roundtable, you guys are going to be blessed and unstoppable.
They will be, because you're here. And the best part is Mr. Nick Sakis is here. Mr. Sakis, hello and welcome.
Gentlemen, and speaking of new school, for those of you listening, I urge you to run, not walk, to your computer and make sure that you check out Mr. Jake Wolf's brand new spanking background. He looks very sleek with his new clever leads background, and he's in his Iron Man suit. Today, my hair is jacked up, so I'm extra crazy. I need a haircut, and Jake looks exceptional. So we're gonna have a good time.
Okay, so I'm going to disagree with everything you just said. The reason why I'm saying that is, of course, Jake looks very professional. You look incredibly healthy and wonderful. And we're going to just drop some hammer, because we all have our different values that we can bring to the table. So let's talk about old school and new school. Nick, you've been in the game for how long when it comes to real estate?
2005.
2005. So you've been in it for a minute, right?
Yeah, I was a young buck.
Young buck. Now, when you got into business, what did you do to get business?
Yeah, so the very first thing I did was database marketing, right? So we went really, really hard into making sure that people knew, because a lot of realtors are like this too, right? They might have had come from another industry. You know, a lot of people are still working another job. It's really important to let people know what you currently are doing if you're transitioning, right? So everybody, when I was 22 or 21 or whenever it was in 2005, I don't even remember, I think 21. When I first got into it, everybody knew me as the electronics guy. I'd been doing car stereo installation, TV installation, home theater. Like when my phone rang, it was, "Hey Nick, can you build a box for me for my car? Hey Nick, can you do a home theater install?" So like I was that guy. So I had to change that perception for people, especially people that knew me, into, hey, I'm now doing this real estate thing. So I immediately jumped on video, but I also immediately jumped into just reaching out to people in my phone, like all my friends, texting them, "Hey, I'm doing this thing now," and just having conversations with people to let them know that this is something that I'm doing, right? So it's really I was hyper focused on the awareness of people that knew me first. And then obviously, a couple years in, I got into the cold calling and the other kind of free marketing tactics that everybody was really pushing back then.
So I want to talk about change really quickly. And then Jake, I want to come to you, obviously right after it. Nick, when you were going through that change in life, did people give you kickback on that? They're like, "Oh my God, you're like the radio guy, and now you're the real estate guy." I mean, like did people say like, "Oh my gosh, I can't trust you because you used to install my stereos. Now you're going to sell my house"?
No, it was more so the other way, right? And I actually talked about this example, I think a couple of shows ago, where I had a father and a T-ball, like I'm the T-ball coach for my son. And so I had a guy who reached out to me who was one of the fathers that wanted me to build a website for him. Like we struck up a conversation, and
Mhm.
like we had a conversation about marketing. He didn't ask me how long I'd been in marketing, how many websites I built, like what was my track record. Let me look you up on Google and find out about you. It was, I like you as my son's baseball coach. You are in marketing. Can you do this for me? Because he already knew me, he already liked me, and he already trusted me on this side.
Mm.
So because of what I did, it was like a perfect marriage. So that's why now, right? The conversation side of things now is all about video marketing, getting people to know, like, and trust you. But that can still happen over the phone, right? Having conversations with people, meeting people for coffee, like meeting people where they are, right? A lot of that old school stuff, it's still, and I've said this before too, the best real estate agents just have a lot of friends.
Yeah, that we do, but in California, it is a challenge to get together with people still because people are still very paranoid about COVID and everything else. So, Jake, where would you go with this if you can't meet with people? How would you get in front of them so that you can go old school, new school?
Well, I want to kind of take a little bit of that baton that Nick just went ahead and talked about.
Okay.
People that get into the real estate marketplace right now, they're kind of leery about going to their existing circle, their sphere of influence, and having some pushback. You guys need to immediately change that mindset inside your heart and soul and say, this is a positive thing. It's like a career change. Hey, now this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm going. And you need to let everybody know about it. So make sure it's a positive. The relationship side of the house, right? You guys all need to be consistently focused on your areas of influence. Some people like Greg go to the dog park with his dog every single day, meeting new people, saying hello. Those folks casually start conversations, and it's okay to tell everybody what you do professionally, right? And it's important. Nick, on the other side, he's the skipper over at the T-ball game, and people need to know a little bit when that time gets there. But I would say first impressions, right? First impressions are always at the top 5 of the list of any type of marketing audit that I go ahead and do for businesses, period, across the board. Back in the mid 2000s, representation on websites and things like that were extremely critical. We were looking at bounce rates after you gain influence from somebody, however, offline or online, and then they do come to take a look at who you are or your presence online. I would say 75 to 80% of these people will judge first impressions, right? So it's critical to go ahead and make sure that your brand's right, who you are is right, your website homepage is right, any type of representation or anywhere you place your business has that good first impression that can then carry the conversation forward. Same thing goes with your old school door knocking, Greg, and I'd love to hear some of your experiences about back in the day with door knocking, and even if it's still relevant right now.
Yeah.
But first impressions there go a long way. And a lot of times, ladies and gentlemen, after you do make that first impression, everybody's going to check your 6. They're going to go ahead and take a look at who you are. You're going to have multiple touch points before people can really kind of get comfortable with making that next transition in. So,
Yeah. When it comes to doors, that's where I kind of cut my teeth. And I was door knocking. What was I doing? I was doing I think when I went down to $2.33 in my bank account and total net worth of $35 to my name, I had no choice. So I went out and door knocked, and I went out and met people. And I was just like, I did this. Hi, my name is Greg. I'm with ABC Real Estate, and this is why I'm here on your front step. Now, those who do not know me, I am 6'5". I'm about 220 something pounds, give or take, the day. So I step back quite a ways. But I've met friends that I've literally traveled the world with because I door knocked on their front porch. Imagine now if you could go back 22 years and you could go door knock and then drop a geofence on each property that was positive to you, instead of writing a thank you note, which you still should do, but you drop a geofence on their property with your branding that goes to all their smart devices. how powerful could that be? Nick, where would you go with that?
It's super powerful, but I do think most, like a lot of the agents that we have on this show are super successful. They have a ton of marketing money, ton of marketing dollars. When people think door knocking, they think like low barrier to entry. I don't have any money. I need to go hit the ground running. Right? Geofencing is still
True.
something that costs. If you don't have $1,000 a month marketing budget, like don't even think about it, like at all. So just keep that in mind when we talk about this stuff. It is really advanced. It is a very, very good branding tactic. But on the flip side of that, too, you still have to have an excellent offer. Like you can be as ninja as you want. We talk about this all the time, and get in front of people and have the technology and a software like Clever and get your message in front of the people. But if you don't have anything to offer and you're just saying the same stuff as everybody else, it doesn't matter that you have an awesome geofencing campaign, right? That doesn't matter. So like there's a certain breaking point. There's a certain I don't know what the word is, what I'm looking for, but there's a certain point where like you just keep pushing, and then you got to start working a little bit smarter. So like if you knock 1,000 doors with one script that didn't work, as you knock, you're going to get better and better. And then now you only need to knock 750 doors because your momentum is there. It's the same thing in marketing, right? When you craft sales letters, when you do video, any of that stuff, like your first dozen are going to suck. Then it's going to get a little bit better, a little bit better. What's interesting about this whole, like when we first started talking about this, it's funny to me that an agent would rather go knock 1,000 doors to a stranger than pick up the phone and call 100 people that they know.
Well, because it's terrifying to talk to someone that you already know because you don't want to get the rejection from somebody that you have had a conversation with or a relationship with, anything like that. But if you get told to go kick rocks from someone you don't know, it doesn't hurt as much.
But so that's the wrong approach, though, right? So if we're in communication with the right people, so if you keep in mind this concept of a Dream 100, right? So like everybody has a database, they should have a database. You should have it segmented out, and you should have at least a Dream 100, meaning 100 people that are closest to you, and that could be your super VIP list of people that are referring you business. Typically, it's people that other local business owners that have a lot of influence. But having regular communication with your Dream 100 is a far better, easier, like once you wrap your mind around that concept of the referral business and what is possible from 100 key people versus just randomly, Gary V'ing it and hustle, and go knock as many doors as you can and go sign up for as many 3-call dialers as you can to knock out 1,000 calls a day or whatever. Like the Dream 100 is really where it's at when it comes to old school, in my opinion. I would much rather push that on somebody than to go tell them, go knock 1,000 doors in a neighborhood.
Jake, what would you say about that? I mean, would you go hardcore old school or would you go Dream 100?
So you have to choose lanes, right? There's so many different paths that you can go ahead and go down. And I urge people to go ahead and stay in an actionable momentum for your business and make sure that you're dedicating time to educate yourself on these different avenues that you consider communication opportunities to prospective clients, marketing opportunities, old school knocking doors, spheres of influence, talking to other real estate agents in your local marketplace, saying hello, expanding your sphere of influence. You're gonna find a niche lane that works really well for you that you're super comfortable in, and then all of a sudden when you put energy, effort, and all of these things into it and it starts monetizing, it starts working, then you can actually focus on it more. And I tell everybody this all the time, and even when it comes to marketing and paid advertising, the actions of what we do in an advertising world is create this ad, do our best to go ahead and build it, put it out to the world, and let the world go ahead and tell us if this is right or wrong. You can have 10 different ad sets, different messages, different angles of thought and approach to prospective customers. 8 of those 10 are going to be not that good. When you find your 1 or 2 that are ringers, like oh my gosh, this is working well. It's capturing people's attention. It's getting people to take action and convert in. Now you can go ahead and stand behind those advertisement pieces. But everything that we do in business, and it's not just real estate, it's a consistent and constant momentum, and it's actionable steps that you have to go ahead and put out there to the world. We have a lot of new real estate agents that are getting into the game, people from different industries and different backgrounds, 10, 15, 20 years, maybe in different industries. The pandemic has changed a lot of people's thought process on earning. Maybe there's been some job pressures because of the pandemic. Maybe they've made some changes in where they live, and now they're looking at being a licensed real estate agent as a way to maybe step off to a new full-time career or subsidize any of their existing career paths that they have, right? So people are focusing on real estate. There's a lot of competition in here, but it's running your own business and finding lanes that you feel comfortable with and executing, constantly taking action, guys. And when you find the places that you're comfortable with, you find the advertisement pieces that work. Now you can put extra energy into it and build it into your kit. So that's where I'm at with it. And to be honest with you, I'm not a licensed real estate agent. I am a real estate investor. I've done a tremendous amount of advertising in the real estate investment world, looking for opportunities. And I understand this process intimately. I was looking for people in pre-foreclosure type situations, wholesale opportunities, was doing a lot of sandwich leases, worked with a lot of developers to do pre-construction investment opportunities. So it's all in the same world, right, guys? So, but those are the actionable steps that are required. Find what works for you and then put that extra energy in there.
Okay. Good insight right there, right, ladies and gentlemen. Michael has a great question. He's asking any advice on what is the equivalent of door knocking if you're going to go after larger commercial buildings, thinking 50 plus units. I have a lot of things to say about this. I'm going to go first to Nick and then to Jake. I'm sorry, Nick. What are your thoughts on that? How would you help this individual? Because you guys are both incredible marketers. How would you help Michael go after those 50 plus units?
Are we talking about like actual commercial listings? Are we talking about like going after a rental property
I'm just
where there's
reading
renters there?
I'm just reading the question.
He's talking.
I mean,
he's
essentially,
talking off
like,
market, Nick.
Off market.
Yeah.
I mean, shaking trees, right? So at the end of the day, my mind immediately goes to the rental. Like we've done this before where you craft an offer and you get it into an apartment complex for people to understand. Like right now, most of the time people are paying higher rent than they could to actually buy a property, right? Jake was talking about pre-foreclosure and other stuff in residential. I think on the commercial side, on pre-foreclosure, like if you are in a space where you're trying to find off-market deals, networking is probably going to be your number one key for me anyway. Like who are the top dogs in your area that are doing big deals that you can rub shoulders with and see how you can be of service to them, help them in any way, and be able to, get some pointers and figure out what they're doing to kind of get your feet under the ground.
Great. Phenomenal advice. Jake, your thoughts?
Yeah, Mike, Grant Cardone, this is his whole world, right? He does this stuff and he teaches a lot of people on how to identify multifamily units at a large scale, if it's kind of in the right area, and how to possibly approach these types of people. I've done this exact same thing in different metros, right? So Nick is right. It's about networking and getting out there. Commercial real estate agents know people, they have relationships with folks. So if they know that you're in the game to go ahead and submit a possible offer, they might have some type of pocket listing that comes your way. That's important, right? So getting to know all of the different commercial agents out there, saying hello, let them know what your intentions are as a prospective buyer. And also, you can do some research inside your local marketplace to identify the actual properties. And then there's some tools where you can go ahead and find who the owner is. And a letter of intent is important, right? So these are activities. Send a nice letter saying, hey, I've identified your property as an ideal candidate. This is who we are. This is what we do. I'm looking to add something like your property to my portfolio. Just curious if you would ever be open to an offer or planning on making a move with the positioning of that unit. If so, I'd love to have the conversation. Those are the activities. You have to get that intent out to the people. And if they come back and don't say anything, or if they come back and say, no, I'm not interested in selling, you never know if that person at that specific property that you might have identified as an ideal candidate doesn't want to sell that one, but he might also own the other one across town or across the county that he's planning on making a move. We as real estate holders inside of our trusts, and we look at different things, and we might have some. There are reasons why people would sell their multifamily type units, right? And it could be a good operating income. It could be a good little business nugget for that person. However, you don't know that I might want to liquidate that asset, take that liquidation to go ahead and purchase a different business, make an investment. These are all human beings standing behind these big pieces of properties, and we all are dynamic in such a way, and you never know until you ask. So you have to take these activities, put it out there, always do the asking, and put that letter of intent. Now, once you start engaging in a conversation, now you can craft your offer however you want to. Straight up conventional, bring in other partners to go ahead and acquire the property. You can go ahead and maybe pool some money as long as you're inside of the SEC guidelines to go ahead and get to that capital, bring in a partner, or craft creative offers to where there might be some type of seller financing option with a certain amount of down payment. There's a lot of ways you can go with the offers on multifamilies, but intent, letter of intent, actively put out your intention to the people and get networking.
Network, yeah, because so commercial is like the good old boy network. It's not like just us real estate agents, we got a thought, oh, I like this zip code, let me just check the MLS real quick. Like there's so many gems in commercial that are just done off market, backdoor, behind the scenes, not in the MLS, not in LoopNet, any of that stuff. But something that came to mind that I haven't done commercial deals personally. I know people who do. And a backwards approach to that would be going into the commercial building. So first you got to actually go to the properties and do like drive-bys and see what the condition is. But if you go start looking at rentals, like you're a renter, and see rental properties that either might have a lot of rentals available. So like if you're looking at a building and you're looking at it through the eyes of a renter, and you're going on an app online or whatever, and you're just typing in 2-bedroom, 2-bath for rent in this area, and you find a complex through a renting portal that has 27 units out of 50 that are available, hey, that might be time to call that owner and be like, dude, you thinking about selling this place? Because I'm looking to buy. But you're coming into it from the lens of a renter, right? Because you're actually going after that inventory. Same thing on the other side, right? They might have a fully maxed out, it might not be anything available, but that owner might have already gone in and actually conditioned the property, and they're ready to sell. They're at max capacity. They've upped their rent roll, and now they just want to hand it off to somebody for cash flow. And you might be that guy that just wants to buy something at top just to have the cash flow, and you're not going to put any work into it, but you're looking at it through the eyes of a renter, not necessarily like through a LoopNet or MLS or something like that.
So those are the big properties, right? Greg does a phenomenal job in the for rent by owner type categories. So I've watched him. I've watched him throughout the last couple of years. I actually hung out with Greg for a good strong 2 hours when he was texting for rent by owners to start conversations and really getting the phone ringing. And if a single family residence or a small multifamily is available for rent, they might just be in a position at that time to say, hey, you know what? I am just tired of dealing with the renter inside that home. And Greg does a great job on starting the conversation and putting the ask out there. He's always asking, and he's always putting his intent out into the marketplace. And the relationships that you build with these people, even through a text to start, into a phone call, into the ask and intent, they might not want to sell. That's okay. But people who own a second home that's rented out, or 2 or 3 of these things, you have to understand the mindset of the owners of those properties. They are entrepreneurs. They're looking to expand their portfolios. They're looking at rental income. They're looking at expanding their wealth column, their position. So you never know, they might be in a position where they're looking for another opportunity to go ahead and add to their portfolio. You can turn a no, I'm not selling that house, I love it, into, are you interested in expanding your portfolio and looking for something else? And if so, what would that look like? Because I'm a licensed real estate agent and I'm always in the marketplace. And if I find something, can I stay in touch with you? Would you like to know? Or Greg does a great job with it. And, but these are
I
things to
appreciate
think
that.
about. Yeah.
I really appreciate that. And a funny story about that is I was doing cold calls a couple of years ago, right before I had my radio show on KGO 810. It is the biggest radio station here in the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. And I talked to this guy. His name was Miles, and he had an apartment complex. And I'm like, hey man, you thinking about selling it? He's like, no. I'm like, oh, okay. You thinking about buying more? He's like, yes, I am. And so he and I met up for coffee. Again, goes back to Jake's point. When it comes to, you don't know what people are really thinking about. He not only became a client of mine, he became a very good friend of mine, and a co-host of mine on the radio show, just purely off a conversation. So when you guys are out there doing old school door knocking, cold calls, all that stuff, yeah, does it take a lot of time? Yes. Is it, kind of taxing on your lifestyle? A little bit, depends on kind of what you like. But I can't tell you guys and gals how much value it brings to not just your life, but their lives by being personable. So when you go old school and you go new school, be personable. Go out there, make a connection. So if I went out there and met Nick at his house, he and I started talking about working out, and he showed me his in-house gym. Or if I'm at Jake's house and I'm door knocking at his property, and he shows me his motorcycle, and we're talking about motorcycles, which I don't know fucking shit all about, but I'll pretend that I know something about them. I'm like, oh, you sit on it and it goes forward. Okay, fantastic. This is great. But it's just building that relationship, and then we sit down, we have a scotch or a milkshake or whatever it's going to be. That is real estate, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out there and start talking to people, either digitally or physically. Now, when I say physically, I don't mean weird physically. Don't take me wrong on this. That means person to person, face to face, belly to belly, eye to eye. Nick is looking at me like he's like, dude, you said shit that was fucked up. And I'm like, I know.
I would like to put something out there. For me, if I was a real estate agent and working in multifamily and wanting to get to know people inside of a category, and let's go to this for sale by owner, for rent by owner type category, or for rent by owner.
Mm-hmm.
I would want to set a goal for myself personally to go ahead and create a connection to every single owner of multifamily properties or rental properties in my marketplace. And that would be it, because I know that if I have a relationship with these folks at some point, it's going to materialize, right? Because we always talk about relationships. We talk about first impressions, but what a wonderful group of people to go ahead and have a relationship with in real estate. At some point, it's going to materialize. Every human being has housing needs at some point in their future, right? Mm-hmm. So they need to know that you're that person. But if you just went out and said, you know what, I'm wanting to go ahead and touch base with these people, say hello, ask some questions, such as just curious if you were ever possibly planning on moving or doing something with that property, be in the market, maybe ask some questions about, when they got into the game of multiple properties and what has their experience been in the local area, and start that relationship. That's going to go a long way. So if you guys set a goal of getting connected to and being very soft touch, not pushy, it's going to go a long way. And I urge everybody to kind of rethink the way that you approach some of this stuff, because life gets at us weird, and everybody's in their office. You've got good days and bad days, and you know what? You just got to make every minute work for you. Do your business push-ups. But I think relationships are important.
I think you bring up a really good point there, Jake, and Nick. I want you to jump in on this as well. A lot of us, we really have. Have you ever written down your goals? I mean, really written them down and being like authentic about your goals. Not like I want a 10,000 square foot home. I want a Mercedes, a Lamborghini, and a Ferrari, a yacht, and I want a smoking hot spouse. But you didn't really put anything behind that. Because when it comes to goals, you have to be like Jake was saying. You have to be specific. So when it comes to selling your house, buying a house, helping someone do something like that, you have to be so crystal clear it hurts. And when you get crystal clear, all of a sudden you feel liberated because now you know what you're hunting. Jake, you're ex-military. You led a very large brigade of individuals with very high-powered weapons that personally I would not want to fuck with at all. But you guys, when you went out on a mission, there was zero fucks given on what you were going after. You knew your target. A lot of us don't know our target because we have the real estate agent issue when it comes to shiny object. So how do we drill down on that? And Nick, as an agent, I want you to answer that really quickly. I know Jake is chomping at the bit because I know he's going to drop hammer on this. But Nick, as a real estate agent like me, how did you get around this shiny object syndrome?
I didn't.
Oh, well, okay. Back to Jake.
And the reason why I want to say that is because it's not just like, so I lost a significant amount of weight. It doesn't mean I don't drool over cheeseburgers still.
Oh, I do.
Right.
Too.
So like the shiny, that syndrome, I think for entrepreneurs, I don't think it ever goes away, because when you're in the game, whether it's real estate or whatever business you have, you end up getting into the personal development game. I mean, that's really what business is, right? You can only grow to the extent that you do in your business. So you really get heavy in the personal development game. Then you start rubbing shoulders with other people who are doing different things. You start listening to podcasts, and like that shiny syndrome, like it never goes away, no matter what. Just like the same thing, if you do set a goal, once you get there, you will have another goal, because you're always going to keep pushing and you're always going to keep moving forward. There's never enough money. There's never enough business. It's just you keep pushing, because that's the spirit that you have as an entrepreneur, right? As far as the way to starve off or not pay attention to as much of that shiny object syndrome is like what Greg said about being crystal clear about your objective. And I like what Jake says about doing your business push-ups. So what ends up happening, and I'm 100% guilty of this, and I think a lot of people are, right, is you set these wild goals. You have these giant poster boards, and you have cruise ships on there and all these things that you want to do, you want to accomplish by the end of the year, but then you don't necessarily act on and or give yourself a pat on the back for all the little steps in between. So the same thing like losing weight. You set a goal that you want to lose 100 pounds. And then you don't weigh yourself every day and congratulate yourself when you lose half a pound or 1 pound or 2 pounds. You wait till 2 or 3 weeks, and all of a sudden 2 or 3 weeks comes and you haven't lost 20 pounds, and you get discouraged. So same thing in business, right? You listen to a podcast, you set a goal that I want to do this many videos in this many days. I want to do the 75 hard diet, like whatever it is. And you set these big lofty goals, but you don't pat yourself on the back incrementally, then you are almost guaranteed to fail and then look for that next shiny object syndrome. So the business push-up aspect of it is set a goal, set a plan, remove your emotions from that, know that you're doing the right thing every day, and set up little rewards along the way so that you can keep your momentum going, because it doesn't take much to lose that momentum and then look for the next shiny object. Because in theory, I don't know if anybody's ever seen this image of like the caveman digging in the cave, and he's like one stroke away from the gold.
Yeah,
and he turns around and goes away. Like that's what the shiny object syndrome is. Like we all do that. We all do 90% of the thing and then get discouraged and then head backwards to start at zero on this other thing. So for me, it's putting into place of knowing, like being very specific, but then also knowing the daily tasks that you're doing are the right things, even though you're not going to see the reward right away. And that's the hardest thing just in general to deal with. And there's no way around that.
There's not at all. Jake, walk us through this with a military mindset. Real estate agents are like cats in a rainstorm. We get scared by lightning, rain, and thunder. And so if anything doesn't work, we're like, fuck this shit, we're out of here. And we run.
So
right?
that fear right there that you're talking about. So I think the most important thing in real estate is sustainability.
Right.
So we see statistically that a large group only go through a year to 2 years of performing their real estate agent duties. So why is that? It's about sustainability. We all as humans need to go ahead and wake up every single day. We have people that depend on us. We have a certain amount of financial things we have to tend to. Okay, so sustainability is important. I see a lot of new people that are getting into the industry, and they don't have the sustainability thing really set, right? So I urge everybody to go ahead and step in slowly, part-time, building up all of these business fundamental tools, start taking a lot of these activities and going out there so that you can go ahead and go long distance. Set a goal for yourself to sustain, right? I'm going to be here after the storms.
Let's break down sustainability really quickly, because a lot of folks, I mean, it's something that they don't really understand. Like, what's the first step somebody needs to do to be sustainable in business, life, relationships, or anything else? What's been your experience on that?
So, well, regarding real estate, right? I was on TikTok about 2 weeks ago, and I saw this one woman, and she did a TikTok video about, and it was geared towards, I know what I'm doing. So real estate agent by day, bartender by night. But it was very smart, right? It was, here I am making my money, building my business, making my money over here, building my business so I can sustain and maintain. And she's putting in the work and she's doing a lot of activities. So that's important, right? So because if you get into a situation where you're comprised and you're over your handlebars financially, and you start investing into CRMs, advertising activities, different bots, tools, all these different shiny objects like Nick was talking about, and the stuff doesn't work, you're going to get yourself into this start-stop mentality. And I see this as a systemic problem in the real estate industry. A lot of people are starting something. Ooh, it doesn't work. Stop. Start, stop, start, stop. Going back to Nick's caveman thought process here. If you're doing a lot of starting and stopping, you're not going to go ahead and get to where you need to be, but you need to focus on the business tools that work for you, build it into your package and go. So being stressed financially creates fear, creates a lot of start and stop type situations. And then you guys find yourself in a unweathery predicament. And so that's what I don't like seeing people do. Now, technology, this shiny object type stuff, there's a lot of cool new technologies that are constantly evolving. And I'm in that industry. I've been in the marketing and advertising space for a long time, business consulting space. And there's nothing wrong with understanding what these new technologies are and what has made changes. Look at all the changes that we've had over the last 15 to 20 years, social media, new platforms, all the rest of this kind of stuff, the way that people are evolving and actually living online. I don't want you guys to think of it as a shiny object. Understand its utility, see if it's effective, work it into your business model, and make sure that you give it good time to move forward, and but become sustainable with your objects. And the big takeaway on this, you cannot hide behind technology and think that it's going to do everything for you, right? There is a time, there's always these times where you have to get off and engage as a human being. You can't go the whole distance through technology. You're going to have to make that phone call at some point. You're going to have to get engaged. You're going to have to get out there and say hello to these people. You're going to have to do your core competency as a real estate agent. Leverage technology in a way that it helps get you closer to the time when now you can engage and be that person. So that's where I'm at.
So what I'm hearing is, and we're going to wrap this up here. We're going to do a little bit of a shorter show today. So what I'm hearing is that we need consistent movement in regards to your business. You have to set precise and concise goals, and then identify where you want to go so you stay away from the shiny object syndrome. So Howard Britton, who was the founder of another company that a long time ago, unfortunately he passed away, but he would at the in his seminars every single day you would get your notebook and you would write all the notes you want. Then you would itemize the 4 things that you take away from each day, and at the end of the conference you would take the only 4 things that would actually put business into your pocket, aka money. And so I think identifying, like Jake was saying, first, forward movement. Second is going to be goals. Third would be you have to itemize in regards to where you want to be in the next 12 months. Nick, what are your thoughts on that?
I would add one more thing just on the
Please
shiny
do.
object syndrome. One thing that's helped me personally, and something that I still have to go back to all the time, that always helps me, that mentality that someone else is doing better than you or whatever, is running your own race. Like it's so important now with social media and office meetings and all these different networking things that you go to, and then all of a sudden you're comparing yourself to someone else who you don't know their story, you don't know how they got there, you just see the highlight reel of their life, and you compare yourself to them immediately, and you immediately get
Yes.
discouraged. And that is almost the genesis of where this shiny object syndrome comes from, because you try to do something initially, it doesn't necessarily work for you how you thought, then you see somebody else doing something, you want to do that, you want to be that person, you have the shiny object syndrome, and that's when you switch. So the part of the goal setting and all of that is running your own race and only compare yourself to yourself. And are you personally better today than you were yesterday? Which is why the whole thing wraps up, really, business is just personal development. And if you
Yeah.
can really understand that and run your own race, you'll be in a much better situation and much more confident in your own business.
Okay. I cannot end a show better than that right there. Holy macaroni. That was some good shit. Jake Wolf, who are you and how can people get a hold of you, and why should they get a hold of you to talk more about lead generation?
Yeah. Come on over to cleverleads.com. I just urge everybody to just enter your information on one of the contact forms so you can get some of the updates, marketing tips, tricks, and things like that. So come on over, get into the world, and we're always pouring out a lot of valuable information. I would like to go ahead and add one thing, if you
Please.
don't mind.
Please do. Add
Ladies
2
and
if you
gentlemen,
want to.
throughout your business week, when you say, I'm going to be engaging in real estate from 9 to 5, from 8 to 4, whatever those time frames are that you set for your business, I want you to get uncomfortable when you find stagnant time. All right. Respect and appreciate your time so that you can set yourself those opportunities to build more activities in and be tenacious throughout your day. Those constant movements of action will add up to success in the future. And it's going to at least educate you to know what you should be doing and shouldn't be doing, but get uncomfortable with your stagnant time.
Actually, Jake, I want to double down on that a little bit. When it comes to stagnant time, walk me through what stagnant time would look like. Is that the time that you sit in the bathroom for 20 minutes, or is that stagnant time when, like, your girlfriend, boyfriend, significant other, whatever it's going to look like, husband and wife, is gone? And you're like, well, shit, man, I'm just going to sit here and watch YouTube. I mean, what does stagnant time mean in your mind?
I mean to be very intentional with your time every single day. And everybody knows what I'm talking about when you find yourself in this 15, 30-minute type lull type situation, and then you get distracted. Keep yourself focused. Get uncomfortable with any of those time blocks. And if it persists, then find ways to go ahead and put it on your calendar and fill it with an activity that you know would be valuable for your business. But if you're constantly moving forward and constantly in actionable steps to go ahead and benefit yourself and your business, that's important. So all those little nuggets of time add up to a lot as it equates to money in the future, ladies and gentlemen. We can't get the last hour back. We can only go ahead and take advantage of the hour ahead of us right now. And you can do this. Just put a smile on your face, chin up, chest out, be blessed and unstoppable.
Dude, I love that.
That goes back to your self-confidence, right? When you set a goal and you don't achieve that goal because you sabotage yourself, you lose self-confidence. Right? So that's one thing. Like, don't ever break.
Nick, say that again.
The way that you build self-confidence is to never lie to yourself. Never break a promise to yourself. So if you say that you are going to do lead generation for 2 hours a day, do it, because you and yourself is that's the best relationship you should have is with yourself, right? And an interesting idea behind that is the shopping cart theory. If you guys have ever heard of this before. So the shopping cart theory is, what type of person are you? This is like business. This tied back to business me when I heard this. Are you the type of person that always returns the shopping cart, or do you leave it where it is when you go to the store? And the reason why this is important is because nobody's watching you. You know what the right thing to do is, but you don't get punished for leaving the shopping cart in the parking lot. And you also don't get rewarded for putting it back where all the other shopping carts are. So when nobody's looking and there's no reward, but there's also no consequence, what do? Because in that situation, it's the same situation as how you'll treat your day. That's how you'll break a promise to yourself. You know what the right thing to do is. You know you should put the shopping cart back, but you also know that nobody's around and nobody's going to find out if you don't lead generate, if you don't talk to somebody else for that day.
I literally love that. It's the same thing as if you have I have a dog that's just got back from a run with my girlfriend. He's huffing and puffing, and I don't know if he took a shit, in someone's lawn, or took a shit somewhere else and nobody picked it up. But it's self accountability. That's really what you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
I love the shopping cart thing, man. That is a beautiful takeaway. By the way, Nick Sakis, where can these people get a hold of you and just reach out and be a part of your world, because you're such an awesome human?
If you would like to chat about all things marketing, go to getamplifiedmarketing.com and book an appointment. That's directly on my calendar, where we can have a conversation, do a little audit, tell me what you got going on, and I can tell you what we have going on. Or get a hold of Jake at Clever, because we are also working on some very cool things together. So either way, I'm happy to help.
Right. Awesome. Oh, guys, I'm so glad you
Where
asked.
can people get in touch with you, Greg McDaniel?
I was just going to make fun of that. Thank you very much. You guys go ahead and reach out to me at 925 915 1978. That is my personal cell phone. Yes, I pay the bill every 2 months, so it may or may not work. We'll see what happens. But guys, reach out. Let's talk about EXP, what we're doing, because I'm working with Jake and Nick and Gene, and guys, we are going batshit crazy on this thing. I'm not pitching you. I'm just telling you that this thing right there, for those of you listening, that is a moving truck that I just put a photo up of. Jake has built a company called Freedom Move USA, and we are going to knock off 70% of the cost for moving, and something that's only going to be a part of what we're building with our EXP team. But guys, come over, hang out. If you want to get some tips, tricks, if you just want to have a conversation, if you actually want to see if I actually pick up my fucking phone, call it 925 915 1978. That is my number. Jake and Nick have done that, and guess what? I answered the phone. But we love you to pieces. Gentlemen, I have one last bit of business for you. We need 2 colors for the bow on the show. So, Nick, what is your color for the bow on the show?
So since we talked about shopping carts, our main shopping destination is Publix, which is kind of an off green, not necessarily like clever or amplified green, but a little bit like a pea soup green. So we'll go with pea soup green.
Okay. Don't know where to go with that one, but sounds like a good one. Jake, what's your color for the bow on the show?
Sky's the limit blue. Sky's the limit blue.
Okay, I like it. I like it. I like it. Ladies and gentlemen, here are two bows on the color, bows on the show. We love you to pieces. We cannot do this show without you guys. We love you to pieces. We're gonna go with Sky the Limit Blue on one side, and we're also going to do Publix Pea Green on the other side on on
Total
the on
Yeah.
the show.
Nice.
Love you guys to pieces. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Reach out to both Nick and to Jake and to myself. Hashtag us. Give us a 5-star, not a 2-star review on anywhere you guys watch and listen to podcasts. Helps the algorithm get out there and up there to more folks. You two stay put. To the rest of you, we love you. Until next time, we're out, ninjas.